three ways to buy pot stocks, Pete. Would you have thought
it's
5
like I'm
years
going to
ago?
a Grateful Dead concert. This is fantastic.
I actually am going to a Grateful Dead cover show on Saturday. But anyways, 5 years ago, would you think that there would be three ways to buy pot stocks? It's kind of crazy how normalized this asset class has become in equities, right?
Yeah, no, it's funny. 6 years ago, a friend of mine moved out to California and started getting in the business before it was, legal, not in an illegal way, but looking at the markets were going to be like this. And the guy's got hair halfway down his back now. Not that that's wrong or anything. He's almost unrecognizable, but they're killing it. So God bless them. No, so that is the long-winded answer to. I had no idea that we would be where we are right now. When I drive home, I drive by 4 different pot shops.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely seems
are just gorgeous. I mean, they're huge places.
Wow. Are you high right now? Tell us right now. It
I'm high on life. I'm high on working with you.
You and me both, brother. But it definitely seems like just cannabis products are becoming more and more normal in your grocery store and everywhere else. And stories like Pete's are becoming more and more frequent. Oh, yeah, so-and-so works for a farm. So-and-so works for a distribution plant. So-and-so works for corporate at one of these companies.
Right.
And with that, it has become easier and easier for you to buy these stocks. As recently as like 3 or 4 years ago, I remember a family friend of mine like showing me all these like OTC stocks that he had bought to try to get some exposure to cannabis. And that stuff's just like kind of shady, a little bit weird, but we have for you here a highly regulated and a great product in futures. A clear-cut way for you to buy pot stocks here for $200, Pete. You can right now get $1,000 worth of 21 of the hottest pot stock names with S420. Now that's a lot of numbers in there, Pete, but that's all just to say that S420 is a futures product priced at $10 with a $100 multiplier, so it's $1,000 product. Very small relative. Like what are some of the other popular futures products and their sizes, Pete?
Oh gosh, the smallest you can get now is like $12,000. The asset price inflation has taken micros and made them kind of in the middle of a mini. I mean, the minis are in NASDAQ right now. What are they? They're $200,000.
Like 230,000. Yeah.
I can't
like $230,000
product with them at 125,000. And it's so funny. I just got an email from a viewer talking about, what he lacks is he's found that all the ETFs he trade that is supposed to be industry specific or idea specific are crammed full of stuff that, while making, adding them to return, just make the idea of wanting to be exposed to groceries impossible, because they threw in Walmart and Amazon. And yes, they do grocery business, but they do 100 other things. And the idea that how do we build products that really give you that specific exposure? And this is the start of that process, and building them in a more capitally efficient environment.
That's actually I'm glad that you brought that up, because I didn't have it on the rundown for us to talk about today. But what this product does well, and our Sticks product does well, and our newest product that's going to come to market hopefully in the next month, I can't wait for you all to see that one, is it grabs equities and it brings them together to give you an idea like technology, but not just Microsoft and Apple and Amazon at the top, or cannabis, but not just like a couple of tobacco companies that have some cannabis exposure, or other new asset classes within equities there, Pete. We really work so hard to even out the distribution so that all of these 21 stocks have nearly the same weighting, and choose names that we feel like we have debates internally here that are like, this stock.
You can tell them the truth.
What's
we
that?
we have fights. Actually,
we have full on fights.
We use bricks and spears, so they're good fights.
It gets pretty close to that, but we do have these full-fledged arguments over.
I've
like
heard the term
this
used many times.
This stock doesn't belong in here, and it's because, and it's always like, because these other ETFs and these other futures have gotten so grossly outweighted and are something that you don't even know, like the Dow Jones Industrial. It's like, it's supposed to be industrial stocks. Like, what even is it in there? It's got some of these technologies and everything else. You've got NASDAQ. It's the same 4 stocks as the S&P 500. Like, we take this so seriously. And so we chose all 21 of those names with a lot of debate, a lot of argument, going back and forth to give you the purest exposure to cannabis stocks. And I mean, look at this. Like, if this was similar to these other equity index futures, Pete, it would be at all-time highs.
Right.
But we've seen a ton of downside in pot stocks since the start of this year. And this is reflecting that, right?
Absolutely. And you know what? Diversified, capitally efficient assets that let you diversify your portfolio. You look at this and say, well, I bought it and it's not up. Well, that is a non-correlated asset. That's an important part of your portfolio. If you have your traditional portfolio, it's killing it. And right now it's killing me. But you know what? That's what you want, are things that don't move together like that. I don't want another ETF that's putting in all new highs. Yeah. That's supposed to be some sector of the economy that it's really not.
Well, because say you have $10,000, Pete, okay, and you put 1,000 of it into S&Ps, you put 1,000 of it into NASDAQ, you put 1,000 of it into Dow Jones, and you kind of disperse it among some of those popular ETFs and futures. And guess what? The minute that Amazon and Apple turn around, all of those different thousands are going down. And so even if you put 1,000 into S420 here, this is something that, it's not performing like Amazon and Apple and these other stocks to the upside. But when those things zig and they move lower, this is likely going to zag. This is why we've pushed for years for people to not only invest in technology, but invest in energy stocks. And energy in the last year or so has moved higher significantly as tech stocks have seen some back and forth. Like, this is why you bring these new markets. And you spoke about the efficiency. This isn't a misprint here. $1,000 worth of those 21 pot stocks for just $200. That's the efficiency of futures. Why you go here as opposed to shares of MJ or shares of the individual.
On an equivalent notional basis, remember, Reg T is 50%, so that's $500.
Yeah, absolutely. But you can go to MJ if you want to create a covered call. Short calls in this highly correlated ETF can reduce your volatility and enhance your break even. So if you look back and forth, if you keep an eye on this Y-axis here, you'll see that selling a 25 delta, this is 0.25 on that MJ, keeping a 25 delta short call in MJ, when the market moves lower and market moves higher, you're rolling it up and down to that 25 delta against one S420 contract. Keeping an eye on this Y-axis, you can see that the movement is, over the last 6 months, a couple $100 relative to just the one contract on its own is like $600-700. So selling that call, reducing the volatility, and working down your break even throughout. And that's a pretty standard strategy there that still, between the futures and the call, I checked this out yesterday, I believe, and I think that all in, this is going to cost you still well under $1,000 to get the $1,000 in pot stock exposure, Pete, and sell the call in a different underline to get that premium going. So very efficient trade in the covered call. This is going to be less efficient, and this is going to be a little riskier. As you can see, this Y-axis now has gone from moving a couple $100 to a high to low.
Talk about trading the extreme, though.
Yeah, this is a high to low move, Pete, of about $2,000-3,000. But when you pairs trade these pot stocks against something like technology, which has been in favor, especially the last couple of days here, you get a much better value. You look at this line well below where we started the year, as opposed to, using the covered call or the outright itself, still up on the year. And that's giving you that better value, 5-1 S420 against sticks. Now, this is something, Pete, that I would look at as like, I'm looking to make or lose $100 in the next couple of days. I'm not necessarily putting on a pairs trade like this being like, I'm holding this for months. This is a core position.
Right.
So you take that with a distinct way to buy stocks.
And that $100 could move quickly. So you've got to be a little bit more mindful of trade management there.
Absolutely. And so there are 3 ways to buy pot stocks, going from just the outright futures themselves, $200 to get $1,000 worth of CGC, Cron, Hexo, a bunch of the popular names in there. You can add on the covered. Oh yeah, we built the darn product. I should know the names there. Also, you can put the covered call on there. That's a second way to buy pot stocks. Third way, a lot of people don't think about, is this pairs trade, getting maybe this better value relative to technology stocks or a different sector that has been outperforming pot. That's all I got for you. 3 ways to buy pot stocks, each of which lending to this week's raffle if you're a community member.
Good deal. Yeah. Every trade in S420 gets you another ticket in the raffle for some fabulous wear. You know what? By the end of the year, you're going to actually, clean out your drawers, clean out your closet. You're going to have an entire ensemble as an active community member.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was just actually talking with wonderful coworker Natalie as we're putting together these lists for, different people to send stuff to. And she was like, this guy has already won 2 of these different competitions. And so we're starting to
knock it. You want trade it up, knock it out. There's nothing wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. We love our active community members. We love all of our community members. But either way, Pete, I love you as well. And I'm going to see you very shortly. We got another show coming up. Everybody hang out. We got Splash into Futures coming up next. Crude oil continues to move. Interest rates continue to move, although they can't move to the upside too far. We're going to cover all of it, get some new trades on, maybe in agricultures as well. Thanks for watching, everybody.